Excellent evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's presentation. My name is Dr. Harry Benjamin. Very pleased, very grateful, and thankful to be here this evening and to share with you on this evening's talk. This is I think our fifth or sixth talk that we've had, and I'm really grateful and thankful. Welcome to the call, Chidi Magu. Okay. Welcome to this evening's talk. I'm grateful to have you. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome, Dippo. Grateful that you're joining us as well. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you. So this evening, our talk is we've been having some great talks. Firstly, we've had a number of talks. I would recommend very strongly that you go back and listen to them. They have covered different areas as it relates to having a peaceful mind and a contented heart while all of these changes are happening around us in the world. As we are moving forward, we have a new reality. We're in a new season. There is a post-COVID-19 world, which is going to be quite different from our pre-COVID-19 world. The way we travel, the way we move around on the planet, these things are going to change. The way we do business country to country, a lot of this will be affected by the changes that we've had. So it's very, very important to really understand what it is that we need to do to maintain and sustain a peaceful mind so that you can actually move forward and take advantage of the change dynamics that will exist. Because there will be opportunities. Whenever there are challenges that present themselves to us as human beings, there are also opportunities that are presenting themselves simultaneously with every challenge that we have to overcome. So thank you for joining. Dr. Harry Benjamin is my name. I'm a Jamaican American and I'm a transformational teacher. Let me just put my stuff here on Do Not Disturb so that we don't have that noise in our presentation. So I'm a transformational teacher, I'm a speaker, and I'm also a life coach. I'm really grateful for the privilege and the opportunity to share with you this evening on this live IG platform, Instagram Live technology. Really grateful. So I'm going to dive straight into this evening's topic. And we have titled this evening's topic, let me remember. I sent the title out today, right? 4 keys to having peace of mind. 4 keys to your peace of mind. So there are 4 keys to unlocking your peace of mind. So we can unlock our peaceful mind. And it's really important as we start and we dive into this topic that we first recognize that peace, P-E-A-C. The way I see that peace in my book, A Book of New Thoughts, I created a acronym, which is a reverse acronym. So I use the word peace, P-E-A-C-E, and the P stands for person, the E stands for existing, A, or A, depending on how you pronounce it, where you are and what language the dialect or intonation that you use to speak. Or the inflection. So A or A, person experiencing a calm, C for calm, E for existence. So person experiencing a calm existence. One of the things about peace is dynamic. Peace doesn't mean nothing is happening. Peace doesn't mean that there's nothing going on in the world, and because there's nothing going on in the world, we can be at peace. That's not peace. Peace is a dynamic harmony. It means that there are changes happening in the world, but you are experiencing it in a peaceful way. Even though there are changes like this, things are going up, things are coming down, things are going up, things are coming down, and there are all these vicissitudes and vacillations as things go back and forth, and these changes are happening around us. You can actually have a peaceful state of being while all of these changes are happening. So it's important to begin our conversation with the understanding that peace is something that is actually already within us. Peace is not something that we need to leave where we are and go somewhere else to obtain it, or we need to cease all activity for someone to have peace. That is a very significant misunderstanding of what peace is. Peace is actually a natural state within us that each and every one of us already have, but most of us are not aware of it. So the first key to unlocking our peace of mind is to recognize first and foremost that this peace lies within us. That's the first key. And what are we doing that's locking it in? Because there are things that we're doing that's locking our peace of mind inside of us and not allowing for you and I to become aware of it. One of the main things that happened to us as we were born onto this planet is that our consciousness was imprinted with the way the race thinks. It was imprinted with our cultural ways of being. It was imprinted, and as a result of this imprint that took place, ladies and gentlemen, we mistakenly believe that something has to change in our world, something has to change in our environment for us to have a peaceful mind, for us to have a peaceful existence. We believe that, whenever there was actually a challenge in our relationship, we couldn't be at peace. We thought that whenever there was not enough money in our bank accounts, then we couldn't have a peaceful mind. We thought that, whenever there is, let's say, a strife in our community, there was something happening, we couldn't have peace within us. Right? We always thought that peace of mind was based on what was happening in our circumstantial world. So the first key to unlocking this is to recognize that your peace, ladies and gentlemen, is not conditional. It is not based on your money, or presence or absence of money. It's not based on the presence or absence of COVID-19 as a virus. 2 years ago, it was Ebola. Before that, there was SARS. Before that, there was flus. Every few years, there's a virus that spreads. Some of them become pandemics. Some of them stay as epidemics. So it's actually happening all the time. It's just a matter of what is your relationship to it. So during Ebola, were people at peace where Ebola was happening? Yes. Person experiencing a calm existence. Are people at peace right now while COVID-19 is flowing around? Yes. Person experiencing a calm existence. So there are people right now who are at peace, who are in a state of contentment while all of these changes are happening. And what it is that disrupts our peace and literally throws our peace overboard, so to speak, the free gift of peace that you and I have been given, is the way we think about the circumstances that come. And this is a challenging area for us because you cannot not think certain things. So as you are listening to me, there are certain things that I'm saying and it's generating a certain way of thinking. When you watch the media or you go into your community or something happens to you in a relationship or money disappears from your account, you are going to have thoughts that will disrupt your inner state of peace. And it's really important for you to recognize that it is not the situation that generated a pattern of thinking that's causing you to not be at peace. It is our relationship. It is how we are allowing this situation to be described. So in our mind, the mind is always running. It is always running. It is always describing. It is always suggesting. The human mind is always up to its antics. And it is up to you and I to actually pay attention and become aware enough to recognize that we are not victims. It is not the circumstance that's causing you to be not at peace or unhappy. It is not because of the situation with what's going on in the various countries or what's going on in our world, in the way our world has to change to deal with the current realities that we now have. So those changes are happening. I remember yesterday I called a lady, that we connected some months ago, and I followed up with her to see how she was doing during this period. She's always sending me stuff on Instagram, and she has a pretty big following as well on Instagram, like maybe 84,000 people following her on Instagram. So she's very popular on that field. She's an actress and, in that arena. And, I wouldn't mention her name, by the way, but just to share that she's very popular. There are lots of people with 80,000, 100,000 people on Instagram that I know. This particular individual, when I spoke to her, she said, and I said, how are you doing? She said, not good. And meaning she was not doing good. And so, I said, what happened? This COVID situation, it's just really difficult. I'm not doing well. And she sounded depressed. She didn't say it in jest. She didn't say it like it was funny. she sounded depressed. And I spoke to her for a few minutes and, spoke to her and, there was a few little shifts and she started laughing and, came back up and I suggested that she watch these videos as well. So what is it that she was doing to herself that caused her to go down into that state of almost being in depression? What is it that she was doing to herself? Well, one is that the feeling came from the thinking that, man, this COVID situation is disrupting the things that I normally do. Maybe she would normally do her acting or movies or whatever she was normally doing. COVID-19 has now changed that, right? It's now changed that. So she's now forced to reconsider the ways in which she would probably go about her career. Maybe she has to do some stuff online. Maybe she has to start doing more stuff on Instagram. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out as to a new direction that she has to become open to. But when she says, I'm not doing good, it is her description that brings her down. It is not the COVID that brought her down. It is her description of what was happening. So her mind may have suggested to her, this is really challenging, this is difficult, I really don't like this situation that we're dealing with. And then with accepting that now, the mind starts to say, it's true. It starts to put more scenarios. It starts to show you images of what could go wrong in your life, all the difficult things that could happen. And then she's going down into a spiral, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until it could possibly hit what's called depression. Because depression is you depressing the life in you. Is you suppressing life that's in you, trying to emerge, trying to express itself. And we suppress it because things may be happening in our environment that cause us to block the flow of creativity and genius that's trying to happen by means of us because of something that's happening in our life experience. So the first key, ladies and gentlemen, is to recognize that whenever you feel unhappy, whenever you feel not at peace, it is not the circumstance or the situation that's doing it to you. It is your description of the circumstance or situation that's doing it to you. Each of us is a scribe. S-C-R-I-B-E. So each of us scribe. We are scribes. And describe means of scribe. So de is a Latin word which means of, O-F. So whenever you describe something, you will experience your description. So she was experiencing her description by saying it's not good. And in dialogue with her, starting to help her to shift her perspective, she started to laugh at the end of it, which meant that she was the one making herself unhappy, not the situation. It was her telling herself a negative story about the circumstances as opposed to moving into a place of acceptance of what is. Whenever we accept what is, whenever we accept what is happening, we move into peace of mind. Peace comes through acceptance of what is. There are things that are happening in the world that you and I cannot change. There are things that are happening in your personal environment that you do not have any control over. And it is the acceptance of what you cannot change that will allow you to have peace of mind. And then move now with inspiration to change the things that you can change. So the second key, ladies and gentlemen, we spoke about the first, unlocking ourselves, right? Unlocking ourselves. So we're moving away from what we've done, ladies and gentlemen, is first unlocking the first key to our peace of mind. The first key is to understand and recognize that nothing in the world controls your peace. Nothing in the world has your peace of mind. There's no situation or circumstance that owns your peace, and you have to change it to have peace. It is our relationship with the circumstance that results in us having a peace of mind or not. Once you have accepted that, the circumstances happening around me do not control my peace of mind, then you have now unlocked your first key to actually having a peaceful mind. Because you have now taken your power back from the world. You're no longer saying I'm a victim to a circumstance, to people, or to a situation. You have given up victim cards. You have given up the idea of being a victim when you have taken back your responsibility to say that my peace of mind is not based on what's happening in my environment. It's based on my inner conversations. The second key that will unlock your peace of mind, ladies and gentlemen, the second key that will help you to move into a higher level of consciousness is taking full responsibility for everything in your lives. Taking full responsibility for everything in your life. That word responsibility is very strong because it is when you realize that everything seemingly obstructing you, blocking you, presenting itself as a challenge or a problem to you is actually there to assist you to go into a higher level of consciousness. Every challenging situation, circumstance, every difficulty that you're dealing with is actually there to assist you, not to hold you down, not to pull you back, not to pull you away, not to block, hinder, or obstruct you. It is there to bring out the best, to bring out your higher talents, to bring out your gifts, to bring out your strength, your courage, your wisdom. In fact, one of the things that helps us to recognize that peace is inside are situations that challenge your patience. Whenever you are challenged with being patient, you are now starting to realize that peace is inside. Now, as people are locked away at home right now, voluntarily, and then it's being enforced in some countries, and they're taking strict measures to ensure that people stay home so that the virus can stop spreading and die off, and then we can get on with doing some things in different ways, the way compared to the way we used to do them before. So what happens now is that when people are locked away, what that gives them the chance to do is that they can't run off to work. They can't run off to do this. They can't run off to do that. And it forces people to slow down and start to catch up with themselves, because the human mind had them running day after day, week after week. And then when you speak to several people right now, they're telling you, man, this is the first time in years I've had a chance to connect with my children. I've never really sat down and spoken to them before. I was always coming home late at night and just putting them to bed and, trying to do this, trying to do that. So a lot of people are starting to recognize that they were really running ahead of themselves. And with now, they've started to realize that, wow, but, I can be okay without all of these different things that I thought I needed to do to be okay. People are now going to start to realize that you're okay. You're okay. The people are losing jobs, yes. People are getting illnesses, yes. But you're okay. And as you start to slow down, you'll realize more and more and more that you are truly okay, ladies and gentlemen. And there's nothing you need to do to add to yourself. You are okay. Your peace is there. Your joy is there. And as you take full responsibility for everything in your life, responsibility removes blame. Responsibility and blame is not the same word. Whenever you blame something or someone for your not being at peace, you are advocating your responsibility for what you should do in that situation. So when something is happening, instead of saying who is to blame for COVID in the world, take responsibility for cleaning up your personal environment so that you don't contribute to the spread of it. Right? Whether it is man-made, whether it is natural from the earth, because human beings have been misbehaving for so long, right? And taking this earth for granted and doing a lot of crazy things on the planet. And the planet has a way, the earth has a way of discarding species that do not support the whole of life. So if human beings continue to be crazy and ridiculous and destroying the planet, then the planet will find a way to evict us as tenants. Right? We have been free tenants for thousands upon thousands of years on this planet. And the planet has been very good to us. And we need to be good to our landlord, which is the planet Earth. Landlord of the human body. Right? It gives us a body to use while we're here. And we need to be as kind back to the earth in the way it has been kind to us. So it's very, very important to take full responsibility. No blame, no shame, no guilt. Full responsibility for everything happening in your life. With that, you now embrace things like courage. You embrace your spirit to fight and overcome every situation and circumstance that presents itself. You now become someone who is dream-oriented. You start to look at your visions, your dreams. You start to do visualization. You start to focus on manifesting and creating the lifestyle that you desire. You start to realize that life flows from inside out. And you no longer live life outside in. You no longer say the environment determines how you feel. You no longer say, I have to have my environment a certain way to be productive. You are able to be productive regardless of your environment. You're able to shine and to show up and to do what is necessary regardless of what your environment is like. But what that does is empower you to create the environment that you desire to live in, right? But you do not have to let your environment dictate your environment triggers your thoughts, but it doesn't have to dictate what thoughts you concentrate upon. Your environment does not have to dictate your inner feeling state, because the feeling state comes after your descriptions of thoughts start running their course. If you learn how that process works, you will start to realize that you're the one bringing your feelings down because of how you're articulating yourself. There's one issue with feelings. A part of feelings carries the context of moods. Each human being has moods. There are low moods, and high moods. All of us have them. You cannot escape them. In a low mood, the thoughts are negative. In a high mood, the thoughts are positive. So when your mood shifts, which it does in human beings, it shifts. When it shifts from high to low, the situation you are in all of a sudden starts to seem more negative and more challenging. When it goes back up to a high mood, the same situation starts to look better. Over the last couple of weeks, some of us have experienced shifts in moods. And if you look back over the last couple of weeks, you see sometimes you felt really bad about COVID, and sometimes you felt really good and nothing else changed. The situation is still the same. It's because of the shift in moods. When we learn to meditate, as I'll speak about that as we unlock the third key, what happens is that you now start to stabilize these shifts. You don't have them as wide as you used to have them. They become very narrow. You know, you don't go all the way up to this high level of excitement and then boom, down into the dumps of depression and feeling so down. You actually have a very nice equanimity where you bob and weave sort of in the middle. When something happens great to you, you come up. Something happens that's challenging, you barely go down. But you don't go down into the dumps, right? That's a higher state of consciousness, ladies and gentlemen, which each and every one of us can attain. So the second key is accepting full responsibility. The first key, we mentioned that already. The second key is to accept full responsibility for everything that's happening in our life and not try to push things away or run away from things, hoping that that is going to be the solution to your seeming problems or challenges, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have to move in different directions from time to time, but you're not moving away from to get away from. You're moving towards to express, to build, to increase, to do something affirmative. Not running away from a situation thinking that once you get away from this place, I will have peace of mind. Once I get away from this particular relationship, once I have money, once I have the community, once COVID is gone, I'll be at peace, right? That's a false sense of being. What we need to do is to embrace what's happening around us, accept what we cannot change the things that we can, and peace of mind will start to flourish. The third key, ladies and gentlemen, is when you now start to allow peace to flow naturally, right? The second stage is taking responsibility for everything in your lives. But the third key, unlocking your peace of mind, is when you start to realize, when you have actually known. This is not a theoretical key. This third key that I'm speaking of, is when you know, ladies and gentlemen, that peace of mind is inherent. You no longer agree that peace is within you. You no longer just stop blaming things around you. You no longer simply accept responsibility for the things that are happening in your life experiences. You now know that peace of mind is an inherent part of your being. It is how you're created. You're created with peace living inside of you. A gift of the Spirit as a part of your life. It is an extension of your being. It is literally the core and the center of what we are. Peace is us. You could literally say, instead of saying I am Harry, I could say I am peace. Because peace is more me than Harry. Harry is a name that my parents gave me. But peace is a part of my creation. Joy is an aspect of my creation. It's not something added onto me. This body, I got it when I entered the planet. But my peace and my joy and my love, those essences are loaded and coded within me as a part of my natural state of being. However, for you to actually be in agreement with me about this, you have to have what's called a realization that peace is inherent and intrinsic. You have to have a direct revelation from within your being that peace is intrinsic to your life, which means that you no longer have it as a theoretical agreement that you are the one robbing yourself by going with the thinking mind and blaming and using guilt and using shame and fear and these lower level ways of human living, pride. You use these lower level, guilt, all this apathy, these lower level ways of human living. We use those to rob ourselves of our peace of mind, right? The second stage, as I said, or the second key, is when you have accepted full responsibility. And in that way, you stop advocating your responsibility for your life. And in so doing, you open the doorway for you to feel your peace, for you to feel your joy, because you are no longer using something outside of you to be the factor that says, I cannot have peace of mind. The next thing, ladies and gentlemen, the third thing that happens here is that you now start to have a revelation. Now, how do you approach this stage to have your direct revelation of peace and joy as an inherent part of your being, ladies and gentlemen? How do you approach this stage where, yes, you now realize, man, my peace and my joy is truly here. It's truly in my heart. It's truly a part of what I am. It is not theoretical. It's not hypothetical. That happens either suddenly or incrementally. Either suddenly or incrementally. Most people do not have a sudden awareness of it. Like sometimes individuals go through some life shocks where you've had some individuals that suddenly lost their parents, their spouse, the children in their life, and they were so shocked by that experience that they woke up to the higher order of themselves and they started to realize that peace and joy is inherent. Some people have had it through having a cold experience, or having something traumatic happen to them, and then they woke up and realized that, wow, my peace and joy is within me. When I say woke up, I mean you become aware of your inherent peace and joy that's within you, right? So it's really, 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 really important that you realize that these two ways are how you will become aware of your inner peace, either suddenly. And when I learned this years ago, before I had my revelation and my realization, I really pray that I didn't have the sudden one. Right? I really pray that I didn't have a sudden waking up, that everything had to blow up first before I would actually become aware of the essential nature and the truth of my life. I wanted that gradual, incremental realization of peace and joy, and that's the one I ended up having, right? Now, how this happens is that when you choose to meditate, when you choose to do affirmative prayer, when you choose to start to declare, I am peace, I am joy, I am love, and those essences become more important to you as your name, because name and nature is the same thing. When we give the name cup, like this, we say this is a bottle, right? Who said it's a bottle? We are the ones who said this is a bottle. This is a piece of energy that's taken the shape of plastic and has water inside of it, and we have called it bottled water. The water, it's a name that we were inspired to give it. The bottle, the reason where we came up with the name for a container, and this one is made of plastic, right? So we call it a plastic bottle. But the truth is that this is something that we are giving a name to. The energy that makes the plastic doesn't make it plastic. It's energy that has no definition, that has no form in the beginning. It forms itself into atoms. Those atoms come together, and then we end up with something that looks like this. And we are the ones who then give it a name. We're the ones who give it a name. So what I'm referring to when it comes to that inner state of peace and joy, that's not something that you are giving a name to, like the way we gave a name to this. That is a natural part of your being that's just there naturally. And when we can become aware of it through affirmative prayer, through our meditation practices, through spiritual study, through high-minded conversations, through actually attending fellowship with people who think this way and are seeking for people to go to a higher level of consciousness. So as individuals embrace these practices, we become a candidate. We become available to becoming aware of the inner peace and joy that's there. And that's how you unlock that third key. Now, when you do, the peace and the joy just flows naturally from what we are. And when you are aware that it flows from you, then you now know that the world didn't give it to you. You now know that there's nothing in this world that can interfere with your inner state of peace and joy. You will realize that it's natural within you. It is how you are created. You're created with peace and joy inherent, right? So the peace of mind that I'm referring to, the third key to unlocking it, as you do your silent meditation, as you do your affirmative prayer, as you do your spiritual study, as you have high-minded conversation, as you start to do what we call life visioning, selfless service, and fellowship with the people that are seeking a higher state of being, what will happen is that you become a candidate to have your revelation. You will incrementally or suddenly, but most of us incrementally become aware that peace is here. You feel it emanating, radiating. You feel it effusing itself from within you. And when you enter into relationships, when you enter into connecting with others, you bring peace into that connection. You bring joy into that connection. You bring it to where you are. You don't get it from relationships. You don't get it from presence or absence of money. You don't get it from things working a certain way in your community. You're bringing that peace into that relationship, into the situation. So when COVID-19 and crisis like these are around, you have peace going on within you, even though things are going in a way that you may not even want them to go in. It still doesn't bring you down into the valley of despair and discontentment because of things that are happening. Because you have now become aware that peace radiates itself and emanates itself from within and has nothing to do with what's happening in the world of effects and circumstances. The fourth key, ladies and gentlemen, to unlocking your peace of mind is when you now become stable in that awareness. In the beginning, it is actually in the third key, it is a revelation that hits you. Sometimes it's a nanosecond. Sometimes it's a little longer than that. But it hits you that peace is natural. It's within you. The fourth key is when you have stabilized that awareness. Is when you have become stable in that peace. Where nothing in this world. And I've had my own experiences of which I could share different ones. One, and that's Chidi, who joined us earlier, on the live stream here. She was in the car with me, right? And Chidi would remember this. She was in the car with me the night when we're driving late. We're stuck in the road. There was a truck that blocked the road. We're on somewhere in Nigeria called Mushin Express in Lagos. And someone smashed the door to try to steal my phone. And while he smashed the window, and he smashed the window and started saying he's going to kill me if I don't give him my phone. And I dropped my phone between the seat while I was looking into his eyes. She eventually gave him her phone, as he was saying he would kill me if he didn't get a phone. He would kill me, right? He said he would kill me, not if he didn't get the phone, but he would kill me, right? When I looked into his eyes and I prayed, and I was praying for him in my heart, praying for his generations, praying for him, his children, praying for anything happening around him for him to come up to a higher level of consciousness. Not necessarily immediately, but beyond him connecting with me in that moment, he would leave changed and better because of the experience. Not blaming him, not wanting to jump out of the car and get a machete and chop him to bits, right? Because he's threatening my life, right? I was able to rise above that. And even when we drove off, there was calm in the car. I brushed the glass off my legs. There was no sense of anxiety. My heart was not racing. One of the most amazing things I realized during that time is that my heart did not flutter. I did not have any fear during that experience. And that is because my peace has become stable, meaning that it's not based on what's happening outside. It actually is my protection, that inner peace and joy. That's when you become aware of it, you realize that you're living in the secret place of the Most High, and no harm nor danger can come nigh your dwelling space. It doesn't mean you don't have experiences that you have to contend with and challenges that you have to go through, but your inner state of being remains stable and contented. Your peace of mind is there. So in summarizing this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wrapping this up. The first thing that we need to do, the first key that we spoke about, is not advocating your peace of mind. Not dumping your peace of mind because of presence or absence of money. Not dumping your peace of mind because you're having a challenging time in your relationships. All right, whichever one of your relationships, whether they're the family relationships, your spousal, your business, your community, whatever relationships you're having challenges with, those challenges are going to bring out better essences from you. right? So you're no longer using the community. You're no longer using COVID. You're not using what's going on around you as the reason why you're not at peace. The second thing, second key is accepting full responsibility. Taking full and complete responsibility for everything happening in your life. You're accepting what is, changing what you can change, and allowing what cannot change to be, and move yourself to a higher level, focusing on your dreams, your aspirations, your goals, and developing more courage and fight to climb to higher ground. The third, ladies and gentlemen, is becoming aware of inner peace. That's revelation. That's when you have an insight. That's when you have now had your inner contact with peace, and you know that peace is naturally a part of your being. You no longer have it as a theoretical understanding. And the fourth key is when you're stable. When you're now stable, right? Your peace and joy is stable, meaning that things are happening to you and you're still in a state of equanimity about them, right? And you're no longer allowing the vacillations and vicissitudes of life to have you flowing up and down, and your emotions are running hither and thither because you've become so stable inside. You're receiving your thoughts from inspiration. You're no longer receiving them from human consciousness, which they're there and you're aware of them, but you're no longer taking your cue and direction from fears and doubts and worries and anxieties and unrest and fitfulness. You're no longer taking your cue from that dimension. You're taking your cue from a higher order of being. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the 4 keys to unlocking your peace of mind. I pray that this was very beneficial to you. I saw a lot of different names. I didn't catch all of them, but thank you every single one who chimed in this evening and took part in this meeting with me. I greatly appreciate your ear, your time. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My heart is filled to overflowing with gratitude. We're going to continue these talks, and we're going to continue to have them and help us to come up to a higher level of consciousness. So I want to see you at the top of life, T-O-P, the Omnipotent Palace. Get that book, A Book of New Thoughts. It's loaded and coded with a lot of great insights and inspiration, all right? So bye for now. Until the next talk is on Sunday at 8 o'clock. I'll see you then. I'll post this on YouTube so you can get to watch it again. And thank you very much for being on the live chat with me, all right? Bless you. Bye for now.